Whispering Shadows Motel stood nestled at the edge of a desolate highway, its neon sign flickering erratically in the night. For years, it had been an enigmatic spot that travelers would approach with hesitation, as if drawn to its unsettling allure. One moonless night, Mark, a weary traveler, found himself seeking refuge within its grim walls. The lobby was dimly lit, and a sense of unease seemed to linger in the air. The receptionist's hollow eyes stared into Mark's soul as she handed him a rusted key. His room was suffocatingly still. Mark placed his bag on the creaking bed and tried to ignore the faint whispers that seemed to float through the air, dancing at the periphery of his hearing. He dismissed it as fatigue-induced paranoia and decided to sleep off the eerie atmosphere. In the dead of night, Mark was awakened by a cold draft that seemed to carry a symphony of hushed murmurs. The shadows on the walls appeared to writhe and take on shapes of their own. And then, from the corner of his eye, he saw it, a faint, shadowy figure at the foot of his bed. Mark's heart raced as he reached for the bedside lamp. The light pierced through the darkness, revealing an empty room. Sweat, soaked, and trembling, he convinced himself that it was his imagination. However, his second night at the motel proved even more harrowing. As he lay in bed, Mark heard footsteps outside his door. The knob rattled, and a shiver ran down his spine. He called out, but the footsteps faded into nothingness. In a desperate attempt to unravel the motel's mysteries, Mark began to research its history. The Whispering Shadows Motel had a dark past. Tales of unexplained disappearances, of guests who checked in but never checked out. Each room had stories to tell, stories of lost souls and unanswered questions. The motel's former owner, an eccentric man named Edgar Stenton, was rumored to have dabbled in the occult. Whispers of his summoning rituals and obsession with eternal life circulated among the town's locals. As Mark delved deeper, the shadows seemed to tighten their grip. In his sleep, he heard anguished cries and caught glimpses of tortured faces. Reality blurred with nightmares, and he struggled to distinguish between the two. During his stay, Mark met a reclusive motel maid, Eleanor. With a nervous glance over her shoulder, she revealed that the motel was a conduit between the living and the dead. She spoke of lost souls trapped in the in-between, forever yearning for release. With Eleanor's guidance, Mark uncovered a hidden room beneath the motel. The walls were covered in cryptic symbols, and a chilling wind seemed to emanate from its depths. At the center lay an ancient journal, Edgar Stenton's account of his dealings with dark forces. With every word he read, Mark's understanding deepened. The motel had become a beacon for spirits, and Edgar Stenton had offered them a twisted haven. Mark realized he had to break the cycle. Using Eleanor's knowledge, Mark performed a ritual to close the rift between the realms. As the last incantation left his lips, the motel shook as if protesting its fate. A deafening silence followed, and the shadows retreated. The following morning, as Mark packed his bags, he felt a weight lift from the air. The receptionist's eyes no longer held that empty stare. Eleanor smiled, and the sun cast a warm glow over the once dreaded lobby. Mark left the Whispering Shadows Motel with a mix of relief and melancholy. The dark history he had unraveled was now part of his own story, a tale of confronting his fears and vanquishing the unknown. The shadows may continue to whisper, but Mark had triumphed over their haunting secrets. The Vanishing Motel stood alone on a deserted stretch of highway, its neon sign casting an eerie glow over the barren landscape. Its reputation was one of whispered tales and haunting memories that clung to anyone who dared to enter its dimly lit corridors. Late one stormy night, Sarah and Mike, a couple on a road trip, found themselves seeking shelter within the motel's decaying walls. The rain beat against the windows like a desperate plea, and the air held an inexplicable chill. The receptionist, a woman with vacant eyes, checked them in with a mechanical smile. Their room exuded a sense of melancholy, as if it had witnessed countless tragedies over the years. Despite their weariness, sleep remained elusive. Strange noises echoed through the corridors, and the couple's nerves were stretched thin. As the clock struck midnight, Sarah awoke to a soft whisper that seemed to echo from within the walls. She nudged Mike awake, but he dismissed it as a trick of the wind. Yet the whispers persisted, growing louder and more urgent. Terrified, they stepped out into the hallway, their footsteps muted by the worn-out carpet. The whispers seemed to converge, forming words that sent shivers down their spines. "Help us! Find us! Guided by the ethereal voices, they followed the haunting trail through winding corridors and hidden staircases. The motel seemed to shift and change, revealing hidden passages that led deeper into its heart. In a forgotten corner of the building, they stumbled upon a room unlike any other. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy, and the walls pulsed with an ancient rhythm. Inside, they discovered a collection of old photographs, faces frozen in time, eyes pleading for release. A nameless dread washed over them as they realized that the motel was a portal, a place that bridged the gap between the living and the dead. Each room was a doorway to a different time, each guest a chance for the lost spirits to communicate. Sarah and Mike made it their mission to uncover the stories behind the photographs. They learned of a tragic fire that consumed the motel decades ago, trapping souls in a perpetual cycle of torment. Their quest became a race against time as the motel's supernatural power threatened to consume them as well. With the help of a reclusive historian, they unraveled the motel's dark history. Armed with newfound knowledge, they performed a ritual to free the trapped souls. As the last incantation echoed through the corridors, a blinding light enveloped the building. When the light faded, Sarah and Mike found themselves standing in an empty lot. The Vanishing Motel had vanished, leaving only an empty space where it once stood. The whispers were gone, replaced by a quiet calm. As they resumed their journey, they carried the memories of their encounter with the Vanishing Motel. It was a story they would tell, a testament to the thin veil between the realms of the living and the dead, a reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved. Nestled amidst a dense forest, the Haunting Melodies Motel stood as a forgotten relic of a bygone era. Its dilapidated exterior told tales of countless nights, each fraught with secrets and shadow. Its reputation was one of intrigue and unease, a place where the living dared not tread. In the heart of autumn, Lily, an adventurous traveler, found herself drawn to the motel's mysterious allure. The wind whispered through the trees as if urging her forward, and the motel's neon sign buzzed faintly against the encroaching darkness. The lobby was frozen in time, its furniture covered in dust cloths, and the receptionist's gaze distant, as if lost in a trance. Lily was handed a tarnished key, and her footsteps echoed through the empty corridor as she made her way to her room. As the night deepened, Lily was awakened by a haunting melody that drifted through the air. She sat up, her heart racing, as the plaintive notes seemed to originate from within the very walls. The room pulsed with an ethereal energy, and Lily could almost feel the vibrations under her fingertips. Venturing into the hallway, Lily followed the melancholic tune, the floorboards creaking under her feet. The melody led her to a room shrouded in darkness, its door slightly ajar. She hesitated, then pushed it open to reveal a scene that defied explanation. The room was a haven for forgotten memories. An old record player spun, emitting the haunting melody that had beckoned her. Vintage photographs lined the walls, faces that seemed to stare from another time, each with an unspoken story to tell. Lily's fingers traced the images as if connecting with the lives that once were. A young pianist who had vanished mysteriously, a couple torn apart by tragedy. Their stories seemed to merge with the music, creating an unsettling symphony. As the night wore on, the music grew more intense, its mournful cadence filling every corner of the motel. Lily felt an overwhelming urge to uncover the truth behind these stories, to bring closure to the souls trapped within these walls. Her investigations led her to an old journal hidden beneath the floorboards. The diary belonged to Amelia, a former guest who had experienced the motel's dark secrets firsthand. Her words spoke of a cursed melody that ensnared anyone who heard it, a melody composed by a grief-stricken pianist whose sorrow had tainted the very notes. Determined to break the curse, Lily enlisted the help of the enigmatic caretaker, an old man who had witnessed the motel's transformation over the years. Guided by his knowledge, Lily embarked on a journey to the nearby abandoned theater, where the pianist had last performed. With the caretaker's guidance, Lily played the cursed melody on a grand piano that had long been silent. The haunting notes echoed through the empty theater, mingling with the wind that swept through the broken windows. As the last chord resonated, a blinding light enveloped Lily, and for a moment the boundary between past and present blurred. When the light receded, Lily found herself back in her room. The music had ceased, and an eerie calm hung in the air. She knew that her actions had released the trapped souls, and as dawn broke, she bid farewell to the Haunting Melodies Motel. Years later, Lily's journey was remembered as a tale of courage and redemption. The motel stood no longer, replaced by the serenity of nature. But the melodies lived on, carried by the wind through the trees, a reminder that even in the darkest corners, the power of one person's resolve could bring solace to the tormented and the forgotten.